nyusahin ah.
bekas itu bekas kawan-kawan Jav. Iya di lolanya.
Wait, what do I do?
Buka.
Oh,
Oke, terus
ini
buka
website
live
kan?
streamnya sih. Iya.
Gue di komputer juga bisa. Oh iya, gue udah lihat nama gue. Siapa ya? Tunggu. Siapa nama gue? Lihat. Belum apa ya?
Enggak, belum. Apa? Enggak.
Oh, gua.
Halo. Iya. Enggak, masih ada kok di. Halo.
Kayak delay 15 detik, 10 detik.
Halo.
Ini gue mute YouTube-nya deh.
Halo.
Oh, iya. Ini gue mute YouTube-nya deh.
Halo.
Oh iya. Kok lu YouTube-nya di mute, pada mutein aja biar nggak bergema.
Iya, gua sengaja kok.
Di mute, pada mutein aja biar nggak bergema.
Lu udah pernah mulai? Oh belum. Tunggu gua buka ya. Lu udah buat room ya? Kasih linknya sana, sini kasih linknya dulu.
Ya si
Buat tadi DC soalnya.
Ya ampun, gua ngejawab stream YouTube.
itu ini apa namanya? Si Jelio, kayaknya dia tahu gara-gara yang lagi dia di ini sih. Itu ini gimana? Si Jelio.
Kenapa Julio?
Tahu gara-gara yang lagi dia di ini.
Kasih linknya dong, weh. Link live streamnya.
Lu sudah.
Nanti di chat.
Kasih PM aja langsung di PM di LOL, jangan. Ini apa home screen gua gelap nih di LOL.
Nanti di chat.
Aku udah kasih. Kasih PM aja langsung di PM di LOL.
Ini nggak ada yang mau nambahin lagi apa ya?
Ya,
Ini nggak ada yang kan nyoba ceritanya nyoba.
ini gua acak nes deh. Main ikut.
Anas lagi jam seleb. Dia malah gitu.
Kesel kali dia jadinya off gara-gara ladenin orang tua.
Lo kasih tahu Julio gitu biar apa ke depannya jangan ngeladenin orang-orang kayak gitu.
Allah, gue udah ngomong beratus-ratus kali, bahkan setiap dia kayak gitu dia ada di sebelah gue juga gituin.
Ngeladenin orang kayak gitu kan bikin capek diri sendiri tuh.
Allah, gue udah ngomong beratus-ratus kali, bahkan setiap dia kayak gitu dia ada di sebelah gue juga gituin.
Ngeladenin orang kayak gitu bikin
Iya bener.
Tunggu, gua namanya apa ya? Udah tuh.
Gua main.
Julio nggak main kok. Ini cuma kita berempat doang. Gue UMN.
Ya.
Itu iya siapa? Wuhu siapa?
Wuhu gua.
Oh.
Welcome to Quiplash. Population?
Iya siapa?
Well, slap your uncle and get on a camel, cause here we go.
Oh shit, udah mulai. Aduh, gua
This
takut.
is round one. 2 prompts will appear on your device, which you can answer
Yeah.
in
Jack-
whatever
Jackbox TV.
whatever way you want. Everyone will choose between your answer and someone else's and decide who wins.
Gak usah
You
takut
score
biar ya,
based on the
santai aja.
percentage of players who like your answer. Plus, there are winners.
Kok ada
and
delay
losers
lama
at
banget ya?
stake.
Ada
Go.
delay lama.
Iya emang ada delay. This already.
Kok ada delay lama banget?
Hmm.
84. Chat gue 77.
Apa ya? Gua nggak bisa mikir nih.
84.
Gue
Sekarang berapa dress? Oke, sip. Sekarang berapa dress?
gua nggak bisa mikir yang ini.
Tenang.
Apa ya? Apa?
Okay, here we
What the
go.
fuck? Banyak
First
waktu.
up,
Ya, gua cuma.
The one thing you wish a politician would just say already.
Cepet biar. Udah.
Okay, pick your favorite.
Pangupang. Jawab cepat.
Oke, gua jawab.
Next one. An Olympic sport that never made it, synchronized blank.
Lo mana lo nggak jawab? Oh yang
Udah berempat.
Devices.
yang
Berempat.
Sering. What?
panas bona.
Fuck. Gua kayak gua lupa. Ya ampun, gua liatin stream YouTube.
Nggak, lo liatin yang di jackbox-nya aja itu yang bener, yang timingnya.
Iya,
Coming up
ya
next.
ampun, iya.
No one would guess this is where the treasure
Yeah.
is buried.
Iya, salah gua.
It's voting time.
Andres, soalnya mana Andres?
Next up, the worst thing you could discover in your burrito. Time to vote.
Yeah.
Terus siapa? Itu pasti Andres yang jawab. Andres mah fans sama gue anjing.
That's all for round one. Here's the scoreboard.
Iya, enakan di HP ya, kalau split screen gini susah.
It's time for round two, where all point values are doubled. That's right.
Wih,
doubled.
ya. Lah, kok lu yang menang sih?
Iyalah. You never heard something. Gua aja nggak tahu.
Let's take a look. Our first prompt is, if you ever heard the term great white shark, what might you call it when you saw one for the first time?
Padahal gua udah dapet yang bagus.
Okay, voting time. Pick your favorite.
Ini siapa?
And next, come up with a name for a fast food chain that only serves rabbit meat. It's voting time.
Looney Tunes.
Gua buat di.
And next is, invent a Christmas
Oh, yang jawab
tradition
aja.
sure to catch on.
Gila, gua lupa jawab lagi.
Lo liatin yang apa Jackbox TV-nya aja udah.
Okay, next
Iya, gua
one.
tahu.
The worst theme for your kid's first dance recital.
Exorcist.
Vote on your devices.
Nah, itu gua lupa. Oke, gua liatin ini ya. Wow.
Tetel lah.
That's the end of round two. Let's take a look at the scores.
Oh, nggak ada yang jawab sih.
Gua jawab.
Kalau nggak jawab, Jan.
Lo nggak jawab, Jer?
Gua jawab. What the
Nggak,
hell?
lo nggak jawab.
Aduh.
Welcome to the last lash, the
Hey.
final round.
Ya, gua
Stakes are
jawab
simple.
padahal.
There's just one prompt,
Tersebut
and
pakai
you're
loh.
all
Gua
getting
jawab
it.
tetes.
Your last lash prompt is, What do you guess is an unadvertised ingredient in most hot dogs?
Okay.
Ini cuma satu pertanyaan ya?
Iya. Kita harus mainnya at least berenam ini.
Iya. Makin rame makin masuk ini.
All right, here's the board. Okay, in this round, you have 3 votes to give to players. You can give them all to one player or spread them out.
Lu kenapa sih? Lu kenapa sih?
That's the end. Let's see the final scoreboard.
Hey, I'm winning. I'm winning.
Ya.
Ya pokoknya begitulah mainnya.
Iya, gua sering lihat streamer main ini kok.
Nanti deh.
Jer.
Iya.
Kita ini sekarang di Twitch lagi ada 3 room yang kebuka nih, main lah. Sama orang luar.
Oh.
Mau nggak? Atau lo mau tidur? Kalau mau tidur ya udah.
Gue udah.
Terserah.
Ya udah, oke deh.
Oke.
Lo lanjut atau udahan? Ya.
Oke. Goodbye.
Yeah. On the day you were born, I made 2 knives, mixing metals from my home and from this land. One for myself, and when you were ready, one for you. Today is that day.
So I'm a man now. Like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater. And you must be better than me. Understand? Stay calm, boy! Say it.
You will be better.
The power of this weapon, any weapon, comes from here. But only when tempered by this. By the discipline, the self-control of the one who wields it. That is where the true strength of a warrior lies.
Boy's true nature, your true nature, fights within him.
Hang on!
Think I'm afraid of you! You're nothing to me!
Boy,
nothing!
look at me!
Don't make the same mistake. Have faith in him.
Atreus!
I can hold on!
I know the truth isn't simple, but nothing is when it involves your child.
We must be better. You must never forget that.
PlayStation.
I gotta find that guy. It's now been over 20 years since Resident Evil 2 first introduced us to Raccoon City's streets, rookie cop Leon Kennedy, and the world's most ridiculously ornate police station. To mark the occasion, Capcom is working on a remake of the game, which is due out in January next year, and uses their new RE engine. Last seen making everything look as horrible as possible in last year's terrifying Resident Evil 7. But just because it's a remake, that doesn't mean it's identical to the 1998 original. We played a timed demo here at E3 2018, which was only 20 minutes long, but even those 20 minutes were enough for us to spot 20 differences between this remake and our beloved original. And here they are. While he matured into a Ganado roundhousing, monk suplexing machine in Resident Evil 4, at the time of Resident Evil 2, Leon S. Kennedy is a rookie cop just 21 years of age. And while we knew that was the case when we first played Resident Evil 2, it never really came across in his face, which was pretty low detail, or his voice acting, which was voice acting in a Resident Evil game.
It looks like we're not gonna find your brother here after all.
With the benefit of current-gen consoles and the RE engine, however, the new Leon model barely looks old enough to shave, let alone take down a police station full of zombies, and his attitude is different too, with him being much less confident, having to reassure himself several times in the demo we played.
You got this.
Yeah, Leon, you got this. While the police station seems familiar to fans of the series at first, the layout is now a bit different, with the first change you'll notice either being these bloody footprints on the ramp, or the doors on the left of the hall. Instead of a wooden door, this is now an electronic gate with a control box that's held shut in a way that'll be familiar to those who played Resident Evil 7. The solution's the same too. No one in Resident Evil is any good at peeling things, apparently. In the original game, the main hall of the police station featured a statue of a water bearer with a single circular slot beneath, into which fitted a unicorn medal, which netted you the spade key. Now there's a much larger goddess statue with 3 circular slots underneath, which according to these notes, leads to an underground passage towards a parking garage and escape. No idea if this will be the new home for the unicorn, wolf and eagle medals, but it's at once both familiar and new. Another layout change is the fact that the RPD reception desk has moved to the front of the room, and that the computer, which in the original game controlled the electronic locks in the hallway, now controls the security cameras, allowing you to watch people who are much worse at surviving zombie apocalypses than you. Come on, man. Also, there are now more cops left alive than just Marvin. This guy's called Elliot, and there is another referred to as David who we haven't bumped into. Or, if we did, he wasn't in a fit state to talk. Like its teammate on the other side of the room, the door on the right-hand side of the hall is now an electronic gate as well that requires turning on with a switch, and then for you to crawl under, on your belly, face first, into a much, much worse room than the one that was there before. And the one that was there before wasn't exactly Disneyland, let's face it. This is the first room you'll enter in the station now, instead of the room where you found Marvin in the original, so that's changed as well. For all its faults in user-friendly design, inconveniently locked doors, and the fact that it was overrun with the ravenous undead, the original Raccoon City Police Department building was at least adequately lit. That's not the case anymore in the Resident Evil 2 remake, and the tension level is immediately ratcheted up several hundred notches as soon as you're through the gate, thanks to how dark and grimy and bloody and terrifying everything is now.
Jesus.
It's immediately obvious that there's a shift in mood from the slow burn horror of the original to a tenser, more harrowing experience like that seen in Resident Evil 7. Great, we just got over that. In another move that'll be familiar to Resident Evil 7 players, you'll also find doors that are locked not with a key or a crest, but with a good old-fashioned bundle of chains. If things are the same as they were in Resi 7, you'll need to find bolt cutters to get these off, so keep an eye out for them. We fondly remember the door opening system in the original Resident Evil 2, where your character would, in first person, walk up to the door extremely slowly, open it it extremely slowly, and then walk through it at a speed I'm going to describe as extremely slowly. Now, doors open the same way as they did in Resident Evil 7, which is to say that you can just push them open. They can also be pushed open slowly if you're unsure about what you're going to find on the other side, and considering how much they've changed, I think that's probably going to be every door. Here's one of the new cop characters we were talking about earlier, an officer named Elliot. I wonder what new twists and turns he'll bring to the story. Oh. Well, at least he leaves us his notebook, which has sketches of some of the new puzzles we'll be seeing later in the game. Cheer up, Elliot, these are some pretty good drawings, why so glum? Oh yeah, you got pulled in half. One thing you'll notice right away, because it's terrifying, is the fact that the zombies are now seemingly a lot more resilient. First of all, they can take several solid headshots before they go down. Asshole! And having been down once, they almost always get back up again. That's bad news for you, because of our next point. While the zombies in the original Resident Evil 2 were tough in packs, they were also pretty easy to avoid. In fact, if you were decent at dodging, you could bypass the majority of the zombie encounters in the game, saving your precious handgun ammo for more important foes. It's looking like that's going to be a lot harder in the Resident Evil 2 remake. Several times we tried the old just slip by them technique, and several times we were grabbed and munched on like a party sub by these much more reactive zombies. So expect to do a lot more shooting. And brace yourself, because Resident Evil 2 now has damage modelling on the zombies, which is great for realism and immersion, and terrible for our stomach when we see what a close-up shotgun blast does to a zombie's face. Even the pistol will chip away bits of skin and bone in a really horrible way. Probably a good thing it's so dark in here. Resi fans will remember Marvin Branner as the cop you meet when you first enter the police station, who gives you a keycard, then locks himself in so you don't endanger yourself trying to rescue him.
Don't worry about me. Just rescue the survivors in the other rooms.
Marvin is still present in the Resident Evil 2 remake, but he's a lot more involved, pulling you to safety from what looked like it was going to become a bad case of the being pulled apart. Watch out! Okay.
You're safe. For now.
In another improvement from the original game, Marvin is now voice acted by someone who has heard actual human beings talk, which makes a change from the original, where every one of his lines sounded like it was being delivered for maximum awkwardness.
There was this incident involving zombies in a mansion located in the outskirts of this city.
New Marvin is immediately likeable, sensible, level-headed, and, this is my favourite thing about him, he doesn't point a gun at your face.
Just go!
Rude. Another benefit of New Marvin is that he doesn't lock himself away in a side room. He stays set up in the main hall and will presumably be here a while to offer Leon advice. Of course, we all know what Marvin's eventual fate was, and anyone who doesn't can probably guess by that massive chest wound and pale complexion, but it'll be good to have him around for a while longer. As a parting gift, Marvin gives you a combat knife, which can be used a couple of ways. Firstly, you can use it like the combat knives in the original games as a melee weapon, only now it has durability and you'll need to find another one if it breaks. Secondly, you can use it like the daggers in the Resident Evil remake as an instant grab escape, although if you do this, it'll become lodged in the zombie and you'll have to kill it if you want your knife back. One of the biggest early shocks in Resident Evil 2 was the licker you encountered after leaving the main hall, which announced its presence by scuttling past the window. Ugh. No idea where he's got to in the Resident Evil 2 remake, but he's definitely not here, which makes me wonder what other well-established moments in the game the developers are going to change just to mess with us. Instead of a licker, we get a bit of radio dialogue about a rescue helicopter headed for our location.
Touchdown at RPD. Minutes. I repeat, touchdown.
Could this be the new way Leon and Claire escape the city? Raccoon City is fully overrun with zombies, and the police station is right in the middle of town, so it makes sense that there are going to be zombies on the outside as well as the inside. The problem is when those zombies on the outside decide that they want to be on the inside and smash their way in. Thankfully, now you're able to barricade windows if you're able to find some wooden planks. No word on whether these will hold them for good or if it's something we'll have to keep an eye on, but it's looking like this might add a new tactical element to the game as you try to decide which windows you want to barricade in order to keep your runs to and from the main hall clear. As we near the end of our demo, we discovered a new room we'd not seen before, the RPD locker room. Although we've got to admit we're not very impressed with the level of security of a locker room in which you can both see into the lockers and unlock them by just entering the locker number into a keypad. That said, 2 of the number keys from the keypad are missing, so it looks like this is going to be a new puzzle where we'll have to find those buttons if we want whatever's in that backpack. Oh man, I bet it's just full of magnums. In the original Resident Evil 2, you got the shotgun at the very start of the game from the luckless gun shop owner Robert Kendo. Now, in the Resident Evil 2 remake, the shotgun is found in a weapons locker at the back of the RPD locker room, and you'll need to find a keycard first before you're able to open it. It's definitely worth it though. I think this thing is going to come in handy. So those were 20 differences we noticed in the 20 minutes we played the Resident Evil 2 remake, but we're positive there are plenty more we missed. So let us know what you spotted in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more on Resident Evil 2 before it comes out in January next year.
For the most part, the difficulty levels in video games are clearly signposted, usually with helpful descriptive names. Yes, thank you, Wolfenstein 2. On occasion though, we managed to stumble across an unofficial hard mode that will, although never advertised as some kind of alternative hidden difficulty setting, unexpectedly make your life several degrees harder. Consider these times we made a game significantly more difficult for ourselves by accident, and beware of minor plot spoilers for the following games.
What is that?
I'll go and check.
Okay, Jill and I will stay in the hall in case of an emergency.
At the start of the original Resident Evil, you're given the choice to play as either Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine. This is a tough decision because up to this point, your only knowledge of them comes from the game's live-action intro.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we're searching for the helicopter of our compatriots Bravo Team.
Joseph!
No! Don't go!
Is there a Charlie team as well? Can I be one of them? Just going off appearances, you might think that picking Chris Redfield is going to give you an easier time of it, on account of how burly Chris is built like a triangle that's taken up powerlifting. But in actual fact, by picking Chris in both the original Resident Evil and the remake, you're making the game much harder for yourself. And not just because it's harder to fit through doors. For a start, and in defiance of all logic, Chris can actually carry fewer items than Jill Valentine. Jill can tote 8 items around with her, whereas Chris is limited to 6, proving once and for all that those biceps are just personal trainer show muscle. As anyone who's come across a crucial item with a full inventory in a Resident Evil game will tell you, the more inventory slots the better, as this will save you tons of backtracking to item boxes. There is also the fact that, early in the game, Jill is given a lockpick, meaning that she can pick simple locks, such as drawers, whenever she comes across them.
Jill, here's a lockpick.
Chris, meanwhile, needs to find single-use old keys lying around if he wants to open these locks. This puts him at another disadvantage because said locks usually guard goodies such as ammo, health, and ink ribbons. With these disadvantages, you'd expect Chris to be better at combat to even things out. But although Chris can take more hits, it's Jill who gets the game's most useful weapon, the grenade launcher, later in the game. It's also Jill who had the foresight to bring a gun to this mission, whereas Chris starts with only a knife. Did you forget your gun, Chris? Is there a gun sat on a desk somewhere in the Raccoon City Police Department with a post-it note stuck to it saying, "Remember gun"? Honestly, wouldn't surprise me. Jill's greatest advantage, however, is how she's near constantly accompanied by Barry Burton, the world's most useful video game companion. When Barry's not saving you from ceiling traps and enabling you to completely bypass the puzzle to get the shotgun...
Oh, Barry!
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
He is straight up just doing boss fights for you, so you don't have to waste any of your precious health or ammunition. Nice! Do you do other games, Barry? I'm having trouble with Ornstein and Smough in Dark Souls.
Can of fizz. It's sure to yellow and mellow those things. It's yours.
Ah, thanks, Barry. You're the best.
Hey, you.
No game does sexy vampires like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. This is a game where you can literally flirt your way out of life and death situations.
Help you? Dude, just go in. Ugh.
I can't even flirt my way to a free pint. All I get is asked to leave the pub. The other thing Bloodlines does really well is deeply unsexy vampires. You know, the ones that look like a bat had a baby with the lead singer of a goth metal band.
I know who you are.
A face only a mother, who is also a bat, could love. What's more, if you choose to play as a member of the Nosferatu clan, you're in effect activating an unofficial hard mode. Nosferatu vampires look so spectacularly horrifying that they can't walk the streets without immediately alerting the entire world to the existence of vampires. Which means you instead have to navigate the underground sewer system like a sort of creepy fifth Ninja Turtle. And with a face like that, the artist you'd be named after is Picasso. You can't even really nip up topside for a quick bite to replenish your blood supply like vampires from the other clans. Instead, you'll have to catch rats and suck them dry like a little furry juice box. How are you going to look Master Splinter in the eye after that? So yes, creating a Nosferatu character makes the game world considerably more difficult to negotiate, and because your maximum seduction level is capped at 0 for the entire game, all that lovely flirting is right off the table. Oh man, I just realised I should probably stop wearing this to the pub. Duh.
Some things in life are easier for intelligent people. 1. Crossword puzzles. 2. Holding conversations in nuclear wastelands. Accordingly, life itself gets generally easier or harder according to your intelligence, at least in the Fallout games. If you decide when making your Fallout character you're going to sacrifice all your intelligence points so you can hit the bad things real good, you might sink your special points into strength and agility, for instance, leaving you with an intelligence stat of 0. If that's the case, then look out.
Bloody fine job making it through the defences, mate. I'm rather impressed. Toss me your name. Well, na. How did a total moron such as yourself get past my defences?
Your highly agile, muscular hero with the lowest possible intelligence rating will find themselves barely able to string a few words together, like me on 4 hours sleep.
No, not that. I want the computer chip. No, the chip. Just give me the chip!
You might be left with no more than a handful of ineloquent dialogue options, struggling to make yourself understood by your fellow wasteland survivors. So yeah, have fun picking your way through a subtle, tricky conversation with that going on.
You're wearing a vault suit. I never imagined I would meet an inhabitant of another vault. This Vault 13, where is it located? That must be your IQ on your jumpsuit, not a vault number.
As if post-apocalyptic life wasn't hard enough, now I can't even enjoy a simple crossword puzzle. 4 down, 4 letters, not smart, J-A-N-E.
You remember Kinect, right? It's that hunk of plastic that added 80 quid to the cost of your Xbox One, blocked the remote control sensor at the bottom of your television, and now makes a really excellent doorstop. Back when Alien Isolation was released though, every single Xbox One came with a Kinect, so adding some Kinect features to the game didn't seem quite as much like an incredible waste of everyone's time. I'm still smarting over that 80 quid. That's like 2 whole games. Still, we paid for the thing, and we were going to use it, damn it. Plus, some of the Kinect features in Alien Isolation are actually pretty handy. For example, you can use it to physically lean in order to peek around corners, thus exposing as little of your delicious flesh as possible to the 9-foot space monster stomping around the place. There weren't any other motion controls, but that's fine because all you'd be doing is this. Where things got harder than a granite statue of Jason Statham is with the option to activate sound detection. This feature uses the Kinect array of microphones to alert the in-game alien to any noises that occur in the real world. The idea is that if you're so terrified by the sight of the alien that you let out a little real-life whimper, then the alien will hear you and come and eat your face off. Just suppress all your emotions and work it out 20 years later in therapy. That's what I do. Of course, some players will be brave enough to remain completely silent throughout. The problem is that the game can't recognise the difference between the sound of a scream and, say, a text message alert, or the dog barking to be let out, or a bit of nervous wind. Although I suppose that one's fair game. Either way, all this means it's entirely possible to die in alien isolation when your mum shouts up to ask whether you want potato waffles or turkey dinosaurs for dinner. Which makes it officially the most embarrassing death in the entire Alien universe since that idiot first shoved his face right inside a creepy looking horror egg. I mean, really.
A wise woman once said,
"In place of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen, not dark, but beautiful and terrible as the dawn."
And I think we can all identify with that. That same elf woman also said that even the smallest person can change the course of the future. And she was right, but presumably when Galadriel says smallest person, she draws the line at tiny hobbits and not even tinier chickens. Because a chicken is going to have a really hard time changing the course of the future, no matter how heroic it is.
Could I take a moment of your time?
See, in Lord of the Rings Online, you can access so-called chicken play, in which you play as a level 1 chicken. And not like a figurative, cowardly chicken, but like an actual, literal, feathery chicken. As a chicken, however, you will discover your powers are ridiculously limited. Within the bucolic confines of the Shire, this is fine and good. But your chicken-specific quests will take you much further afield to places where Middle-earth's meanest enemies can kill you with a single hit, and all you can do is play dead and find worms. So yeah, good luck with not winding up someone else's winner-winner chicken dinner. Oh come on, that's not fair. Frodo had a whole fellowship looking after him and a mithril vest. If you stick with chicken mode, on the other hand, what you get for risking your feathery neck is a cloak with a chicken on it that lets you make clucking sounds. I don't know, to me, that seems like a paltry reward.
Jane.
What?
Boo.
You don't need us to tell you that the Dark Souls series is legendarily difficult. You've been on the internet since 2011. You know that the word git is to be immediately followed by the word gud, even though neither of those are proper words. It's therefore likely you don't want to make Dark Souls 2 any harder than it already is. Or if you do, you want to do it in the usual obvious way, by choosing a deprived character with a rubbish weapon and merely some skimpy underwear to protect them. You seem to have confused praising the sun with sunbathing. Easy mistake to make. In Dark Souls 2, the Company of Champions is a covenant that can be joined early in the game in the hub area Majula by kneeling in front of this rock and selecting the answer yes 3 times. This is something it's entirely possible to do without really appreciating what joining the Company of Champions entails. Sure, the description is slightly intimidating, explaining that the journey ahead will be arduous. But then this is Dark Souls 2, which means we're veterans fresh off completing the whole of Dark Souls 1. Most of Dark Souls 1. We got frightened by Ornstein and Smaug and switched the game off for 6 months. At any rate, arduous is a hilariously understated term for the Dark Souls 2 death march that follows when you join this covenant. Company of Champions reduces the amount of damage you dish out, increases the amount of damage you receive, and deactivates the enemy despawning system that made commuting around Dark Souls 2 far less stressful than in the original. Oh, and if you were planning on relying on the game's co-op summoning features to
stop us, but we will find them.
Doing the right thing can be kind of tough, like handing in a wallet full of cash you found, or not leaving a Japanese cat cafe with a trench coat full of kittens. That one especially. And choosing to do the right thing in Skyrim's Dawnguard lands you with an even greater penalty than a lifetime ban from the city of Tokyo. They'll come around.